Welcome to People Pulse. Today, we're thrilled to have Mary Poppen join us. Mary is a dynamic leader with a wealth of experience as a chief customer officer, author, speaker, and advisor. She's an expert in customer and employee experience and one of the best individuals to speak on the critical connection between the two. Mary's thought leadership extends to her role as a faculty member at the Michigan State University, where she teaches in the Master's Program for Customer Experience Management. As the author of Goodbye Churn, Hello Growth, she offers invaluable insights into driving business growth through enhanced experiences. Beyond her professional accomplishments, Mary enjoys traveling, exercising, and wine tasting with friends. In today's conversation, we'll explore how to prioritize actions in employee experience programs, overcome key challenges, and discuss the emerging HR roles we expect to see by 2030. I hope you'll enjoy this insightful discussion with Mary Poppen. Welcome. Now, in talent management, HR often focuses on identifying specific roles to address, let's say, immediate business challenges, making it a highly situational process. However, balancing this with a long-term strategy is, I would say, much more essential. How would you advise, how would you approach resolving this paradox?
I think, and I get excited about this too, you're asking me all these questions. If the world looks like this, the ideal solution in my mind would be you have a strategic workforce plan, right? Where HR is in the boardroom discussing how the people strategy aligns to the business strategy. So in this scenario, HR is in the room to share how the company can achieve the desired business strategy through people. Because the HR team has the best knowledge of where employees are with their skill sets, what kind of capabilities, who are we hiring, where are we hiring from? If you want to grow in, from North America into Europe, what is that going to take from an employee, skill set, pipeline, all of those things? When HR, too often, right, HR is just told, here's our business strategy. So go figure out how we can accomplish it. Instead of HR bringing those insights of what we already have in the company and where the gaps are against that business strategy. So to me, creating a strategic view of the workforce would highlight the current gaps against the business strategy, and it would allow the company to align priorities and move faster toward their strategy, right, toward their desired business outcomes. So balancing the immediate needs with long-term talent strategies really requires aligning the short-term role requirements to long-term development paths. And that's where HR as a strategic arm of the company can be so critical, right? And so impactful. But it involves fostering a culture of internal mobility, of investing in skills training, which is becoming more and more important and more desired by employees, and a succession plan, right, to meet evolving business demands. So it really needs to be looked at as a strategic plan, strategic opportunity. By the way, one of the things I recently read was the Great Resignation 3.0 is going to be because employees aren't getting skills development and the career paths aren't clear and skill development isn't a priority for the company. So employees are going to be leaving for companies that, reward them, recognize them, but give them significant skill development opportunities.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I could totally understand as a millennial now being in the workforce. I see it across my peers too, that people are now, and I think this is not just generational thing, but people are just hungry for knowledge and for improving their skills. I think that we're adjusted to changes more, and these changes come with new skills development needs. And if you don't get that in the workplace, then I can understand how it can bring disengagement or dissatisfaction. So I really appreciate your emphasis here on just appreciating people and giving them opportunities in the workplace. Now, I was impressed by your insights during a recent webinar on employee experience best practices. Could you perhaps just summarize some of the key strategies that HRs use to leverage data-driven insights and improve engagement?
Absolutely. And by the way, thanks for attending the webinar.
It was a
Or
pleasure. I enjoyed it.
I love this topic. So employee engagement is definitely a journey, not a destination, to use an old phrase that I think is still really applicable. But doing an engagement survey once a year just to see scores change isn't enough. Companies have to invest in a continuous feedback and action cycle. So surveys are one piece of the puzzle, but focus groups, exit interviews, manager one-on-ones, right? These are also really key in creating a holistic view of the employee, engagement and experience. Also, having multiple channels for feedback and insight is going to drive more informed actions that are going to have a greater impact ultimately on not only improving, but sustaining employee engagement. And that's a key piece I want to double click on too, is like an engagement program that makes improvements in employee engagement, yay, but companies can't pat themselves on the back and stop. They have to keep going and focus on ways to sustain it. So I also want to, double click on it's not just HR's responsibility. Again, I'll take the opportunity to say this is what leaders, managers, and employees, should be getting involved in and helping to take action, and actions that go across business silos and cross-functional, priorities and execution. So I've said this already a couple of times probably during this podcast, but those things are so important to really making organizational change.
Yeah, true. I guess this shared accountability is one of the foundations in order to come to this cultural transformation. And it completely makes sense. Yeah, because without it, the responsibility and the success of these programs goes beyond HR. It's with leaders at every level and with every employee. And it just gets much bigger importance across the organization.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
You're not going to get results overnight. Right? Some actions are quick, but some are long-term. So it's also building that sort of patience and long-term focus, right, on actions and measurement.
Yeah, I mean, such a large culture shift usually doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, of course. Thank you. Thank you for putting that out. Now, from your experience, how would you say that employee experience technology justifies its value? So, how would you advise organizations to strike the right balance to maximize value and minimize this resistance that we discussed about due to the change management complexities?
So there are so many solutions I think we could just agree add value, like CMOS Cloud, right? There's so much reward and recognition, and focusing on communications and the whole employee experience is so critical. But if you go to the CFO with, anecdotal stories, this is going to help our people be happy. And the fluffy metrics, they're going to be like, no, I'm not going to give, thousands of dollars to spend on just happiness. Which, of course, is a miss because, you want to focus on happiness. But you have to align it to the business impact to really get investment. And so, you think about focusing on value, there really should be an HR tech strategy that outlines what are the key measures of success that are aligned to the business outcome for each solution that you're proposing to roll out, right? And if this plan is in place before a solution is rolled out, so much easier to show where progress is being made and where the gaps are. And where you can show progress, you're going to continue to get investment. So that part is really important. And the challenge many times for companies that I work with, part of the challenge is defining what are the metrics that make sense to show value, right? And to show improvement to get the investment. So once you define that, then you can track and analyze those metrics right from the very beginning. So hopefully, your HR tech provider comes with shared value metrics already so they can help you make that business case and help you define what to measure. But justifying the value of each employee experience tech really involves demonstrating the impact on productivity gains, improved employee satisfaction, reduced turnover rates, enhanced customer satisfaction and experiences. So if you can link it to those things, you're going to have a lot more buy-in across the organization. But regarding your change management question, I think organizations, what I've seen addressed really well is companies that involve stakeholders early and they get that buy-in. They build cross-functional champions. So those employees in the company that are out there saying, you should adopt this to their colleagues, right? That really helps. And then providing training and showcasing the tangible benefits that with them, what's in it for me, and being able to communicate that. So for change management, and of course, thinking about the timing of the rollout is important too.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for that. And you mentioned that the value of HR tech has to be linked to broader business goals. So how it helps businesses achieve their strategy. Can you perhaps share either a story or an example of some metrics that have been useful to evaluate this return on investment from various HR tech tools?
Let me share a story about employee engagement solution and the impact on the business. So there's two different ones that are really impactful, but I'll pick the large airline, who shall remain nameless, had adopted an employee listening and engagement strategy where we were then able to take that data and link it to on-time performance impacts and safety. Arguably way more important, although it depends on the people you ask who are in flight that want to land on time, right? But we were able to find insights in the employee feedback that directly tied to whether the hub we were measuring, whether on-time performance was improving or not, and the safety, employee safety incidents. So we were able to help the organization focus on actions that would help in those two areas. And over a 6-month period, there were significant improvements in both. That is the kind of measurement and application to action and investment that shows, we're doing the right things to make improvements in the most important things to our company.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, leaders today, like you briefly mentioned, must influence a range of hot button issues from, like we mentioned, return to work policies, change management initiatives, and, doing just a lot more with less. Storytelling here is a powerful tool for clarifying the reasons behind these initiatives and not just helping to get everybody on board. Is there anything that from your perspective you would like to emphasize? Where should they be careful?
So great question. I know some great storytellers. I am not a great storyteller, but I've had to learn based on my audience, whether it's the board or it's a customer executive team or it's my team, right? What are the right messages that I need to put together to get buy-in and help sort of rally people around what the value I'm trying to provide or the impact I'm trying to share, influence people. Ultimately, great storytellers with an ask at the end are able to get, more buy-in and influence people be better. But part of being a good storyteller is linking what's important to your audience to, right, the story. And so starting with, if it's an executive team, starting with the headline, right? Sort of like, what is that big wow impact that you're going to be talking about? Because otherwise, if you start with too much detail and you start, right, telling just including too much detail without what the outcome's going to be, you sort of lose the audience. And so it's getting that attention grabber at the beginning for why should I listen to you? And then being able to share what you've learned and wrap kind of the details around the organizational outcome or what's important to the audience. And then, of course, being concise and articulate and using data, using facts and tapping, if you can, tapping into the emotion. So winning kind of the hearts and minds of the audience through your storytelling is the most impactful impact that I've seen. And so I think companies should offer their especially their leadership, opportunities for storytelling, learning, or skill development.
Skill
Or
development, again.
yeah, I think what is, it's a skill.
It
And
is.
some people have it naturally, and some people really struggle.
Mm,
So if you can have a framework to sort of build around, that's going to help you.
mm.
But I do think if you're in the boardroom, it's about highlighting the impact right away and then sharing that detail and the facts underneath.
Thank you. That was amazing answer. So just to summarize it, align the messaging with the goals, tailor it to the audience, tap into the emotions, as you say, using data selectively, being also culturally sensitive, authentic, and practice, 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 practice. Thank you. That was very, very
Yes.
useful. And the last question for today. Throughout your career, you've undoubtedly faced crossroads where some tough decisions had to be made. Can you share with the audience what are your guiding principles when you have to make a pivotal career decision? And what are some of the lessons learned? Sharing your secret sauce for navigating such critical moments.
Mm. So I've definitely had some crossroads between different roles to pursue and also different companies, right? For me, it really comes down to what is the impact that I can have in this role or in this company? Who are the people that I'm going to be working with? Super important to me, and the culture of the company. So I need to be where I see that the mission of the company is making an impact for people, that the people I'd be working with are, just good human beings who want to make an impact, do good things, work together, collaborate. And then, there's other things to focus on, variables too, with, the table stakes of your, compensation and pay,
Yeah.
et cetera. But the initial decision making really comes to, does it align with my core values and where I want to be in the future? So when I'm making these decisions, I generally, I go old school and write down kind of the pros and cons. But I have a personal board of directors. These are friends, family, colleagues, mentors, especially my husband, my biggest champion, who I talk through all this stuff with. So if you don't have a personal board of advisors, I highly recommend that to anybody listening, because these are the people that know you well and they can listen to, your excitement level for the new opportunity, where you think you can have an impact. Also point out some blind spots, maybe that you're not considering, right? And so that's been really impactful for me. I think the lessons learned over the years are the importance of not letting the imposter syndrome hold you back, and looking at the long-term aspect of the decision. Is what I do now going to allow me to be where I want to be 3 years or more from now? So sometimes it's hard to know, but those are the things that have gone into my decision making.
Thank you, Mary, for sharing your insights on end-to-end customer experience, AI, and the evolving HR landscape. I hope you found Mary's advice on using data to drive lasting change as valuable as I did. For more, check out her book, Goodbye Churn, Hello Growth. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe for more industry insights. And together, we've just unlocked another heartbeat of the workplace. Until next time, keep investing in your people and driving change.